All right, everybody, welcome back to this section. I'm Carson Marquis, and today we are going to be talking about how the delivery went, our process through the hospital, and everything that we went through leading up to that point. This is going to be a two-part video. We're going to go all the way up till the delivery of the baby. Part two is actually going to be the postpartum and how long we actually stayed in the hospital and how we're doing at home now. So let's get started. Quick disclaimer before we do get into some of the more detailed things. Just want to let you know that it is going to get detailed, just because this is the real experience and I don't want to not give that to y'all. So she went in for her 35-week appointment. She said, hey, I think I lost my mucus plug. She said, come here and look at this. And I went in there and she showed it to me on her piece of toilet paper and it looked like this big old booger. Kind of gross, but hey, it's the human body doing what it needs to do. So I said, okay, yeah, definitely bring that up at your appointment. She got to her appointment. She explained to the doctor, hey, I believe that this has happened. And what he had said was, okay, we're going to go ahead and test you to see if your water ruptured. And we're like, okay, awesome. I didn't get to go. Of course, COVID-19 still not allowing me to go to these appointments, but it's okay because I was able to be there for the delivery. Anyway, the doctor tests her, see if her water ruptures, and he said, okay, it's going to be about an hour or so, and then we'll give you a call and let you know if you need to come back to the hospital. So she came home. We hung out, had lunch, just kind of waited anxiously, and I was actually getting ready to go into work. I was in the middle of the shower, got out, started drying off, and she goes, hey, doctor just called. We're going to the hospital. I'm like, oh, man, that's crazy. We're 5 weeks early. It's 35 weeks and 2 days. So, I'm sorry, 35 weeks. We'll get to the 2 days later. But here's where it gets a little interesting. So basically what I'm going to say to y'all, all you dads out there, or all you parents out there, when you get that call, if this is what happens to you, it's good to be excited. Stay excited. Keep that excitement. You could be nervous. It's okay. It's a completely new thing. But be excited. But keep your head on your shoulders. What I did was I was running around the house trying to gather all the last minute items. If you do have a last minute checklist, make sure you're hitting everything on your checklist, like pillows, everything that you hadn't packed before, your wallet, your phone, your keys, everything that's going to be important. So basically, we grabbed all that stuff, we got in the car, we went to the hospital. As soon as we got to the hospital, we started paperwork, and they got her hooked up right away to the contraction monitor and to the heart monitor for the baby. So instantly, watching the baby, seeing how he's doing, everything looked great. Got all the paperwork signed, all the consents, all the releases for everything that, for all the people that are going to be working with her, like the anesthesiologist, the nurses, the OB, everybody that's going to be involved in this process. Next, the nurse comes in and she's going to check for the dilation. She was already at, well, she had only been at about a fingertip's worth. So nothing crazy, but her cervix had softened and there was at least some form of a gap. My number one thing for y'all is going to be, don't get hung up on plans, especially if your baby's coming early. If you're having a premature baby, don't expect anything to go as planned, because it didn't. That's why we didn't have a major birth plan or anything. We had 2 things that we wanted on our list, and that was already taken care of. But don't get set on your birth plan, because it's gonna change, especially with the preemie. So basically what had happened was her main doctor had come in and said, we're gonna let you try to do this naturally, because once your water breaks in about 48 hours, your body should go into natural labor. So we said, okay, sounds like a good idea. And the nurses reassured us that you're leaving here with a baby, no matter what. Okay, cool. So basically, they put her on antibiotics because the baby was premature, and they wanted to make sure that, and since her water had ruptured, that they wanted to make sure that they're fighting any infection that could have already started, or just preventing the infection from starting in the first place. They did that, and then they also put her on the steroid shot that for the baby, for his lungs to develop faster, because he is 35 weeks. So we got that pill, we got the antibiotics. A few hours later, doctor comes in, and he goes, hey, I think we're going to take you off the antibiotic, and we're going to send you home. Doesn't really make sense for us, because why would we do that? Her water's ruptured. Her chance for infection has already gone up, and the longer we wait, chance for infection only multiplies from that point. So didn't make any sense to us, and the plan changed once. Next day, doctor comes in, says, hey, we think we're going to discharge you. We're like, okay, that still doesn't make sense. Try to stay patient, because there's a lot of moving parts. There's other doctors' opinions, there's nurses' opinions, there's all these different things that are going on. Stay patient. I'm not a patient person, so I was getting very frustrated, but do your best to stay patient because it's going to be a little frustrating if something like this does occur. A few hours later, the doctor that was on call that day comes in and says, hey, we're keeping you on the antibiotic, you're staying, and you're gonna have that baby no matter what. So plans changed multiple times, and so that was day one. Day one's ended, we fall asleep, nothing crazy happens, and then we roll into day two. So the doctor checks her dilation again, and they decided that they're gonna induce her that day. They gave her the pill for inducing, and then they did the last round of steroid shots for his lungs because we want to make sure that he's more developed because he is still premature. Once they gave her the inducing pill, they said that the baby could come in about 12 hours or in a few days. So it was still up in the air on what was happening. At this point, you know, we'd been there for a day. I'd already called work and said, hey, this is the situation. Luckily, my work was super cool about everything, and they were working with me on every level, and I'm super thankful for that. So thanks. If anybody from work's watching, thank you for that. So after we did that, it was just the waiting game. Luckily, the military trained me for hurry up and wait. So waiting game, we played cards, we watched TV, we took naps, and we ate a bunch of food. And then we went on walks. All right, guys, this is where I'm going to kind of get on a soapbox for a little bit. Your wife has already probably started her contractions. She's probably already starting to go through a painful process as it is. She's already gone through it 8-9 months now on the most uncomfortable thing that she can go through at this point. So be more than willing to do pretty much anything that she wants. We're not allowed to leave the ward to go on walks or anything. We were able to walk the ward down and back. That's about 50 feet. So for 45 minutes, multiple times through our stay, we would walk down and back, down and back, down and back. Be more than willing, guys. She's already going through a lot. Make this process easier for her, but do what your wife needs. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get off my soapbox on that point, but don't worry, I'll be back on it in a little bit. Eventually we fell asleep and we ended the day with them checking her dilation, and she was about a 3 centimeter dilated and 100% effaced. And we start with day 3. So we start the day just like normal, eating breakfast, and then her contractions start to get pretty intense. They come and give her the brief of, hey, if you want to get your epidural, then you can get that at any time, but just know that you have to go through a whole bag of fluid, and it's gonna take you some time to get through that. So really try to space it out, and know that once you're on the epidural that it's gonna make you completely immobile. You can't leave your bed. So my wife wanted to go on one more walk before she became completely immobile, and so we started walking down the hallway, down and back, just like normal, and it just got really intense for her, really intense. She was, you know, hunkered over. She was just in so much pain, and so we got back to the bed, and she had said, okay, I'm ready for the epidural. So nurse comes in and says, okay, we're gonna start your bag of fluid. How are you feeling right now? Pain scale, you know, my wife, she was already at a 7 or 8. The pain was actually really bad with these contractions. So the nurse said, all right, if they're hurting that bad, then we're gonna go ahead and get you some painkillers, some narcotics, and we're gonna get those through your IV so that you're starting to feel pretty good until you make it through that bag of fluid. So it was kind of funny. They started doing the injection of the painkillers, and they go, all right, let us know when you start feeling it. You're gonna start feeling kind of loopy. And she goes, whoa, I think I'm feeling it. I think it's there. And so it worked really fast, which was really great because her pain level went down almost immediately, which was awesome. We made it through the whole bag of fluid, and the doctor came, or I'm sorry, the anesthesiologist came in to administer the epidural. And once that was done, whenever he came in, I couldn't understand him. He had this very thick African accent, super cool guy, but thankfully my wife could understand. He explained to her that, okay, once he injects the needle into her spine, that pretty much she has to stay completely still. So if a contraction's starting, he can pull the needle out and they can start it over again. So Kai got her pillow, she leaned over like she was supposed to, and he put the needle in. She started having a contraction, but she held still because she's a strong woman, and they gave her the epidural. I started losing the feelings in her legs, and she said they kind of started feeling like they were asleep, but she was still able to move them around, which was really good, but she lost all the pain, which was awesome. I do have to say, in the entire 8 months of pregnancy, once she got that epidural, she fell right asleep, and in that 8 months, that 3-hour nap that she took was probably the best nap she's ever had in her entire pregnancy. The best sleep she's gotten. She slept like an angel. So when she did eventually wake up, they checked her dilation again. She was at a 4, and basically when she woke up from her nap, her 3-hour nap, They checked her dilation again, and we were expecting her to be at like, 7, 8, nothing crazy because, only been 3 hours. They checked her, she was at a 9. They said, oh, it's time to call the doctor in. It's like, wow, ooh, the doctor, that was fast. So the doctor comes in, and it's time to push. Doctor comes in, does his thing, checks her and says, yep, baby's here, let's get this started. He suits up, gets all of his tools that he needs to get this thing going. We get her up in the stirrups. I'm on one leg, nurse is on the other leg, and that doctor's just watching for those contractions, feeling for those contractions, and every time there was one, she pushed. The epidural was so effective that she didn't have any pain, but she could still feel when she needed to push. There was no pain for her, and you can ask my wife, that epidural was freaking magic. My wife and I, during each contraction, she would sit there and she would just push and push and push, and she was doing everything that was asked of her, and there was no issues with it at all. But during those breaks of the contraction, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna just have to be quiet because she's not gonna want to hear a word. I can't breathe in her direction, anything like that. But it was the exact opposite. She was laughing with me, she was joking with me, she was talking with me, and we were just loving each other through the entire experience. So if you have that kind of experience, if you're able to talk through this entire process with your spouse, give them that eye contact, give them everything that they need, show them with your eyes how much that you love them through this process, because they're literally bearing your child right there in front of you. She's going through such agony, and she's doing this all for you. So show her, especially with your eyes, that you do love her in this moment. I gotta give props to my wife because she's super awesome. I mean, when it came time to push, she only pushed for 59 minutes, which was amazing. I mean, it was a blessing that she was able to effectively push whenever she needed to, even with that epidural in. So we got very, very blessed with that situation. But she had about 6 or 7 rounds of contractions and pushing, and we would do 3 actual rounds of pushing for 10 seconds each. And you'll go through this whenever you're at the hospital, more than likely. But so she's pushing, pushing, pushing. You're counting with her. You're encouraging her. Make sure you are encouraging her if that's what she needs. If you're sitting there and you're blank staring and she looks like she's starting to lose faith, make sure you amp her up. Be like, baby, you've got this. You've got this. Help her out with your words. Shut up, shut up. But just help her whenever she needs it. So basically, she never questioned what was going on. She never got discouraged, and she never complained through this whole process, which I have to give mad props to my wife because she is an amazing woman. And once we hit those rounds, we hit the 6th and 7th round of contractions, and we had to push 3 times. The doctor pushed her even further, said, okay, let's do another one. Let's do another one. Let's do another one. She ended up pushing about 5 times in one round. And I know that she could barely catch her breath, and she was just pushing with all her might. But she did not question the doctor. She just kept going because she knew what the end goal was. She knew that her baby was right there and that we were going to have him. We were going to bring him home. So I got super lucky. We were super blessed in this situation that we had such a strong-willed, that I had such a strong-willed wife to make this go. Another cool experience that my wife actually got to have was that the doctor, our son started to crown, and he said, hey Kai, do you want to feel the baby? And so she was able to actually put her hand down and feel him crowning, and that gave her even more motivation. It's kind of weird. I know she said she felt a little weird feeling his head right there, but she said that it gave him such motivation to push through those last couple pushes and really pop him out, and he was right there. So definitely stay motivated through this whole process. All right, guys, about another soapbox experience for me would be watching the birth. I was told by every dad, every guy, every whoever, do not watch what's going on down there because it's going to change your life. It's going to ruin how you see your spouse, and it's going to be disgusting. So it's like, oh my gosh, I can't watch this. And so I'm sitting there holding their leg, and I'm like, look in the corner of my eye. Oh, he's crowning, okay. And then I look, because it turned out to be one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever seen in my life. Yes, there is a whole lot going down there, but what's going on down there is that your child's being born. It's coming into this world, and it's the most amazing experience that you could have, that you can witness in person, that you are literally maybe a foot away from. So please, please, if you can stomach it, I suggest looking out of the corner of your eye first if you think you might not be able to handle it. But if you can, please watch it, because you're going to regret that moment, because it is such an amazing moment. Don't miss out on watching your child being born. It will be a life-changing experience, and it will give you a much greater appreciation for your spouse. All right, so like I said, she started pushing at about 6 o'clock, and only 59 minutes later, our baby boy popped out and he was in this world. So we're gonna end the video. This was part 1. Please make sure that you like and subscribe. Check out our other videos here at the dad section. I'll have them posted somewhere around here. I'm gonna figure out how to do this whole card thing at the end, but please make sure that you do like and subscribe because there's gonna be a lot of more good content. And please make sure that you check out part 2 that'll be coming here in a few days. So I'll see y'all next time.